Outlaw Lawyer.
Welcome into the Outlaw Lawyer. Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, managing partners at Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm, practicing attorneys here in North Carolina. I'm consumer advocate Morgan Patrick. Our guest attorney is Cassandra Nicholas. Again, she is also an attorney at Whitaker and Hamer. We have a lot to get into. If you've got a legal situation that you're facing and you have questions, I have a phone number for you, 800-659-1186. That's 800-659-1186. And just leave your contact information, briefly what the call is about, and an attorney with Whitaker and Hamer will be in touch. You can always email the program your questions. We'll use them on a future broadcast. questions@theoutlawlawyer.com. And again, Whitaker and Hamer with offices in Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay-Varina, and Gastonia. And we're here to talk legalese. But first, I think we're going to little sidebar on a professional hockey team that's doing quite well.
I tell you what, Morgan, it has been a lot of fun to watch the Hurricanes.
At home.
At home. We've watched a couple of Hurricanes games at home, so we've watched they've had game 1, game 2, and then we just saw game 5 last night because we're in the studio Wednesday morning. And watching the Hurricanes play playoff hockey at the PNC is a lot of fun. I think we can all agree on that.
Yes. I don't think that's a controversial statement. If you're a fan of the Hurricanes, if you're a Bruins fan, probably not very fun watching Hurricanes hockey at PNC. But, I think it's a testament to how much fun it is, the fact that you watch the away games. You don't watch anything.
I don't usually watch the Hurricanes. I get YouTube TV.
Sure.
Don't get Bally.
Yeah, that's terrible, man. I have the same issue.
So I have to really go out of my way to see a Hurricanes game, an away game. And I haven't watched a lot of them, but with the playoffs being on ESPN, been able to watch them. And that was a disappointing, that'd be game 3 and game 4.
Well, I think the Hurricanes played well in pieces of those games, especially the last game there. They were kind of in control, and then lack of discipline kind of fell apart. But
the lack of discipline is huge because Boston kind of goaded them into situations and took advantage, and they play well in front of their home fans, which, by the time this show airs, it's going to already go back to Boston on Thursday. Could be over, could be coming back for a game later tonight. So it'll be interesting.
I ended up over the past week just meeting a couple of clients who are Bruins fans. It just so happened.
How'd that go?
Salty. Everybody's a little bit salty. I like to think we have folks listening to the show, watching the show, who are both Hurricanes fans and Bruins fans.
Sure, there's some of them. But this is the thing about that. In my experience, I don't have a large cross section of the population that's like that, but I know a few. And the ones that I know that are like that, because we have a lot of transplants down here, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of transplants from up north. But most of the people that I know that are like that, they're here, so they'll pull for the Hurricanes. But they're primarily Bruins fans. Yeah. And they revert back to being terrible people whenever these two teams play, by and large.
My biggest takeaway from watching the 2 playoff games in Boston, I'm used to our home, and this is maybe a minor comparison, but I'm used to the is it Adam Lee Decker who sings
that guy.
He sings fantastic. If you go to Hurricanes games, he sings the national anthem.
Didn't he write the national anthem too?
I think so. He's an amazing person. He does a really good job. And then the guy who sings the Boston national anthem, did not like him as much.
And and I think it's partially just because we like Adam Lee Decker so much. But even if you take him out of the equation, that guy leaves a lot to be desired.
I don't like his. It's kind of got like an opera take on the national anthem.
Yeah. Well, that's a Boston tradition. So for Boston fans, they absolutely love it, and I'm sure they love the fact that we play "Sweet Caroline."
Yeah,
when we're beating them here in North Carolina.
Even if we lose this series, which I don't think that's going to be the case, but even if we did, we still got Adam Lee Decker. They've got Opera Man.
Opera Man. That's good. That's what his name should be. I don't know what his name is. I never will know what his name is. He'll be
never
Opera
again.
Man.
Never again.
But and the Sweet Caroline thing, being a State fan, I can't get in on that. I don't like it when the crowd sings Sweet Caroline. I wish they'd.
Well, it's not Carolina. It's Sweet Carolina.
That's close enough.
That's what you guys sing at football games and stuff.
Yeah. Well, a lot of no team owns that, right? There's.
I don't know. You go to a Red Sox game and they play.
It's big.
Every
I get
game.
that. It's very big.
Yeah, that's right. They do.
Yeah, it's weird, man, the dislike that I've developed for just the Bruins just through this series. And I was never a big hockey guy. I always liked the Canes, obviously, just because it's our home team.
Yeah.
Never a huge hockey guy. Gradually becoming more of a hockey fan. And just by extension, like, I don't like any Boston teams now. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
Just
Celtics,
by virtue of this.
Patriots.
Yeah. So, never like
Red
the Patriots.
Sox.
I mean, obviously, if you're from here and you're a Panthers fan, you have a lot of reason to not be huge fans of the Patriots. But Red Sox never really did anything to me. Celtics never really did anything to me. But not a big fan currently in this moment.
Cassandra, have you ever? What's your hockey
I feel
experience?
really
Jump in.
We brought you here just
I've been
to talk.
to a Canes game, and it was fun. It was not during the series.
And for the folks who don't know, you're originally from
North Dakota, which is a big hockey state, but we don't have any professional teams.
Right.
So
like the state hasn't adopted a neighboring hockey team. Like what's
no, we have a semi-pro hockey team, the Fargo Force. And
That's a pretty sweet
they're-
name, though.
I like
Yeah,
that.
right?
I like that.
They're
I bet
fun
the
to watch.
beers are cheaper at those games
Yeah.
than as
Oh,
opposed
for
to
sure.
Yeah.
pro rings.
I imagine so.
The well, I bring that up, Cassandra, because you've moved here in the past couple of years, past year or two, and one of the things I wanted to talk about today was the very exciting topic of judicial elections, right? So that's before I went to law school. Judicial elections were one of those things where you go to vote because you want to vote in like the national midterms or whatever, and so you got this list of judges, and the average person probably doesn't know who any of these judges are. And when I first started voting many years ago, they weren't really broken down by political affiliation. And then I don't know when that started in North Carolina. It's been a while now, but now you've got your Republican candidates and you've got your Democratic candidates. But I was just thinking about the person who's not an attorney, who doesn't spend their time in a courtroom, who don't deal with these judges every day.
Who are committing crimes.
Yeah.
They got a vested interest.
How do you pick who you vote for judge? I know when I didn't know this stuff before I went to law school, it was random, right? Maybe
It would be probably random. I mean, that's the thing. You got, like, how do you know? Like, the system is designed to, how do you, like, literally, how do you know? Like, is someone going to hand you a pamphlet that, like, talks about this person's accomplishments and what they do? Are you going to see a commercial? Like, the way that our system is, it's very difficult to know. And I wonder if there was like a venue, like an avenue to which you could learn more easily about these people, which I guess there kind of is. Like, people could seek out information, but would people even care to spend their time learning about these candidates?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, because you go to vote for, let's say you really wanted to support, like Democratic Senate candidates, and that's why you show up, and then everything else is like an afterthought, right? And it's always the people with like the weird names, right? That people will vote. Like,
I go weird name. Yeah, you give me a weird name, that's all day, man.
Yeah. Like, if you want your kid to be a judge, name him Judge. Right?
Yeah, Judge.
Or like Learned Hand, or give him like
Oh, man.
give him like a real, because I think that's what most people do. For better or worse, I'm not criticizing. You get there, you got a choice between two. You've already come to vote. You want to vote, right? And I think the default is, for me, it'd been like, oh, that guy sounds like he could be a judge, or that lady sounds like she could be a judge, And I know there's watchdog groups and people put out information, but I don't think the average person, I don't really have a solution for this problem. I just wanted to pose it to
point
you.
it out.
Yeah.
I like how we do that. We identify these problems and we have no idea how to fix any of them.
Yeah, Josh is like, pick the cool name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our official advice.
I think the solution regarding judicial elections is to not elect judges, but that might be.
How did they do it where you're from? Do you remember?
That was a
I
solution.
don't remember.
Well, I mean,
I should. I know that when I've studied abroad a couple of times, and Europeans are very invested in how America should not have elected judges. Like, in completely non-political conversations, people would bring it up and say, it's really weird that you guys elect judges.
Well, it is. I mean,
It's not my fault.
no, it's your fault.
It really is.
Well, you think about it. The Supreme Court justices are not elected; they're appointed, right? And I feel like, especially over the past, as everything gets more politicized, judges running on like the conservative ticket. Like, I think the last go around that I remember seeing this, like there was a whole list of judges for North Carolina Supreme Court, North Carolina Court of Appeals, and they all came together on like the conservative ticket, and Yeah, maybe there should be an appointment process. I don't think we're going to drive the change, but
we're not going to drive the change.
And we get a lot. I noticed in North Carolina we end up with a lot of new judge, like the incumbents usually have an advantage, but I don't know that rings true for judges. So it seems like we get a lot of new judges on the bench, and there's good and bad things that go along with that. But
how could a person that, like you said, doesn't spend a lot of time in court, how do they know? How do they know how effective a judge is?
You wouldn't.
You really wouldn't.
And
I guess you can look at stats, but what do the stats even mean?
I was thinking about Cassandra was just telling us that she's getting ready to vote for the first time in North Carolina, and that made me think about it too.
You seem jazzed about it too. I can see the energy coursing through.
And
your
it's
body.
it's the primaries coming up, so you're voting in either the Republican or the Democratic primary. I'm registered unaffiliated, so
that's perfect
I was
for the
looking
show.
at both ballots, just seeing which way to go, which one I want to.
Well, this is a
weigh
dumb
in
question
on.
because I really don't know. If you're unaffiliated, do you just pick which primary?
Yeah.
Oh, you just pick.
Yeah.
You can vote either.
It's like you're an independent.
Yeah, it's like you have free
But
choice.
North Carolina did not have an independent option as a registration option. It was unaffiliated instead. So
all the unaffiliated people should pull together and really form like a third party.
that's right.
But if you're unaffiliated, you're independent, correct?
Yeah.
There you go. There's your party.
All right, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Some of it's stuff we've talked about before. I want to spend some time. We did the whole show last week about the U.S. Supreme Court leak, and I think there's still more fallout to talk about. There's some things that have happened since we last got together last week. So we're going to spend a minute or two talking about that. The Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial is still out there, is still a thing that's going on. So we're going to spend some time talking about that today. Young Thug, one of Joe's favorite artists,
Let's not reduce him to being an artist. He's one of my favorite people.
Was arrested on RICO charges, and Morgan, you hear RICO like in the movies, and that statute.
You hear it in a lot of rap music as well.
RICO?
Yeah. Probably some of Young Thug's own songs discuss that.
So we're going to spend some time talking about that, but lots of legal news items to discuss.
All right, we'll get to it. The Outlaw Lawyers, Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer. Our special guest today is Cassandra Nicholas, also an attorney with Whitaker and Hamer. If you've got a legal situation that you're facing and you've got questions, you can always call 800-659-1186. That's 800-659-1186. Leave your contact information, briefly what the call's about, and an attorney with Whitaker and Hamer will be in touch. And you can always email your questions to the show, questions@theoutlawlawyer.com. Just remember, their offices practically everywhere for Whitaker and Hamer: Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay-Varina, and Gastonia. So, folks, stay tuned. We're coming back right after this.